Dr. Julian Lewis.
Prime Minister, everybody knows that the prospect of a so-called hard border between Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic has been a crucial factor in forcing us to stay in a customs union. So please tell us, under what circumstances could a hard border be erected between Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic?
Well, first of all, if I may, Dr. Lewis, we are not being the statement being forced to stay in a customs union might imply to some who are listening that that is going to be the long-term permanent relationship of the United Kingdom with the European Union. It is not. This is a temporary arrangement for until the future relationship is in place. It need never happen.
Right, can we stick to my question, though? Under what circumstances could a hard border be erected between Northern Ireland and the Irish Republic?
The circumstances in which we have said that we would do everything in our power not to exercise, not to have a hard border, but we are not the only party to this arrangement. Obviously there is the Irish government. In fact, competence in this is a matter for the European Union. As I've just said, as the Taoiseach has made clear, sometimes it's said to me, well, everybody says they won't have a hard border, but the point he's made is you can't rely. He's saying you can't just rely on political statements for no hard border. You have to actually have the arrangements in place that enable no hard border to be erected.
Prime Minister, you still haven't answered the question. Under what circumstances could a hard border be erected, or are there no circumstances under which a hard border would be erected? For example, if we leave on 29th of March without a deal, and I know you don't want us to, and you're doing everything to avoid our leaving without a deal, but if we do, would there have to be a hard border? Would that be an example of when a hard border would have to be erected?
But that wouldn't be a decision entirely for us. But I'm sorry, Dr. Lewis, the point is that there will be, that potentially, in the no-deal scenario, we would do everything we could not to erect a hard border.
All right.
But there would be a decision from the European Union and the Irish government, and the concern that they would have would be about the fact that we would then be in a different set of circumstances on customs and so forth. And how do you check those?
You're not going to tell me any specific circumstances, but do you accept that there are some circumstances under which a hard border might have to be erected?
Well, that's
because otherwise, what are we worried about?
Well, that's the point. The point is that because you cannot guarantee that there will be no hard border in all circumstances unless we have put in the arrangements to ensure there is no hard border.
Right, well, let's assume, because things don't always work out the way we want them to work out, let's assume that we're in some scenario whereby a hard border needed to be erected. Now, who would, under those circumstances, whatever they may be, who would insist on a hard border actually being built if, for example, we leave with no deal in place? Who would insist on a hard border being built if people felt a hard border has to be built? Would the UK, under any circumstances, insist on putting in a hard border? Would the Irish Republic, under any circumstances, insist on putting in a hard border? Or would the EU itself, in any circumstances, insist on putting in a hard border?
Well, I can only speak for the UK government, and I have made clear that if we leave the European Union in a no-deal scenario, we will do everything in our power to avoid there being a hard border.
Right. So let's assume then that in circumstances unspecified, somebody is insisting that there must be a hard border. Who would actually build it? Would the UK build it? Would the Irish Republic build it? Or would the EU build it? Now, I asked you this question on the 17th of October, but you didn't answer it. You merely stated, we are all working to ensure there will be no hard border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. So please answer it now. Who would physically put this hard border in place? We certainly wouldn't. The Irish certainly wouldn't. And how could the EU possibly do it if neither of us were going to do so?
Well, first, again, you have asked. I can only speak for the United Kingdom government in these matters, and we have said that we would do everything to avoid there being a hard border on between Northern Ireland and Ireland. Decisions for the other parties in this are decisions for them, not for me.
But if they took those decisions, Prime Minister, they would find it impossible to implement, because we would not build it for them and the Irish wouldn't build it for them. So unless they're anticipating sending in the EU army to build it for them, it would never be built. So the whole thing amounts, does it not, to an excuse to keep us entangled with the European Union for fear of building a border that is never going to happen under any scenario whatsoever.
No,
that's the truth.
No, it is not, and I do disagree with that.
So what are the circumstances?
I disagree with that, and I think it is important. And if I may just address this point, there's this assumption, or this sort of point that is made that somehow this question of the hard border in Northern Ireland is a matter that has been pushed on the United Kingdom government by the European Union and or the government of the Republic of Ireland. It is not. We have a commitment to the people of Northern Ireland. They are part of the United Kingdom. I want them to be able to continue to lead their lives very much as they do today when we leave the European Union. Not having a hard border and enabling businesses to operate as they do today is an important part of that commitment that we have made. And if I may refer again to the remarks that the Taoiseach made, what I will say is that you can't avoid a hard border just through goodwill, political statements and wishful thinking.
So who would put it up?
It is important for us to recognise that we have a commitment to the people of Northern Ireland. Now, I believe that commitment is best met, as does the Taoiseach, as does the European Union, through the future relationship we are going to have with the European Union. That is why it's important that we have within the withdrawal agreement the commitments for both sides using their best endeavours to ensure that relationship is in place by the end of December 2020. So there is no question of a backstop, no question of an extension to an implementation period, no question of alternative arrangements, because they are it is dealt with in the future relationship.
I have to stop now, but I can only just note you have not shown who would physically erect it, and the answer is no one.
Right, we're going to move on now to